Hi guys, welcome to day 6 of Adoption Awareness Month. Today I'm going to be sharing one of my personal whys for adoption, I guess. I didn't really realize how much this had influenced me until this summer when I read the book I'm going to talk about. But my aunt worked at a children's home in the 1960s. It was in the mountains of Kentucky. And there in that children's home, they took in so many children. I feel like it was around 200 children throughout the decades that they worked there. And at any given time, it was like 40 plus children at that children's home. And so I had always known this, but when I came home this summer, my dad handed me the book to read, which is called The Open Door by Mrs. Ragsdale. And if you want to buy it, you're going to have to save up like $120 because it's a collector's item. I think you can get it used maybe for a little cheaper than that, but it's a very rare book, so it's still at home on my dad's shelf. But my eyes were just so open to what this couple went through to have this children's home and to take care of children without a home. And basically they had, well, let me read this little article I found from 1955. It was written in a Kentucky newspaper, and then I'll fill in the blanks, whatever it doesn't say here, but it says it was run by Mr. and Mrs. Ragsdale. So it says, Mom and Dad Ragsdale came to Kentucky from California to do Christian work, but saw so many homeless children that they soon realized an orphan's home for these children was the need of the hour. They went to Perry County on Hall's Branch, where a good man donated them 10 acres of land, where it seemed that the land was the scarcest, and they established the Open Door Children's Home, which incidentally was going along nicely until a fire came, practically destroying all the work they had done on their building. Mr. and Mrs. Ragsdale did not throw up their hands nor abandon the children they had already taken in, which already amounted to more than 40. Instead, they made the best of facilities left, and in crowded conditions have lived for the past 4 years. The one thing they have done is to keep their flock well fed and contented through this. And so basically, this was a couple that was very well off. They lived in California. They had one adult daughter, and they then opened their home when they moved to Kentucky to any children who would come. And so often it was children who were abused, and someone maybe would turn them over to the children's home, or sometimes the children came to Mr. and Mrs. Ragsdale begging for them to take them in. Sometimes it was the parent had a mental disability and needed help with the children, or maybe a widow or widower who was no longer able to take care of the several children they had, and they would just end up with, you know, large families of children, one after the other, and several babies at a time. But one thing that really struck me when I was reading it is just the capacity that God gave them to do the work that He called them to do. And before I read the book, I was feeling a little overwhelmed thinking about bringing another child into my home, because although I know God has led me to do this and I have a large heart to do it, it's still overwhelming to think about another baby and the sleepless nights and all that it entails to take care of another child, especially a baby. And so to read about how Mr. and Mrs. Ragsdale had gone from one child to taking care of 40 at a time, and they did have helpers, but still, like, having that capacity to take care of so many children. They lived off the mountain, they wintered on the mountain, they were self-sustaining, so it's not like they had all the conveniences that we have today. Things were hard for them. And then they had a fire, as I read, but they still persevered on in their faith, trusting God to help them to do the work He had called them to do. And I just think that is so amazing and so encouraging to anybody who has a heart for children in need, that if God is calling you to do that, He's going to meet you there, and He's going to give you the capacity to do what He's called you to do. And that doesn't mean it's going to be all sunshine and rainbows. If you read the Open Door book, you're going to see it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows for Mr. and Mrs. Ragsdale. But they were able to persevere and continue in the love of Jesus to these children. So because my aunt worked there, I asked her what song came to mind when she thought of the Open Door Children's Home. And she said that she used to push the children on the swings and they would sing, "Oh, how I love Jesus." And oh, how those children did love Jesus, and how much they were taught about him. So I just thought that was such an appropriate song. And so, Aunt Marilyn, if you're watching this, this one is for you, and I hope that it'll bring you happy memories. Okay.
Of a Savior's love who died to set me free. It tells me of his precious blood, the sinner's perfect plea. And oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus, because he first loved me. Oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus, because he first loved me.